Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host, Mark Gronich of Statewide News Service and jbiztechvalley.com.
Yeah, Rabbi, we have a return guest on the program today. We have Sheriff Craig Apple of the Albany County Sheriff, and it's great to see you back here.
It's great to be back. Thank you for the invitation.
Are you enjoying being sheriff? Is it more challenging than you thought?
I love it. I tell everybody it's the best job that you could have. You're giving back to your community. You're protecting your community. You're involved in all different aspects, because the sheriff's job's a lot more than just like a true law enforcement or true corrections. We do emergency management, 911, stop DWI. And of course, we do in fact have our law enforcement and corrections. But
well, you don't look any worse for wear, so that's good.
I'm feeling a little more tired, but it's not a bad thing. It's good.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So tell me what I think the biggest problem these days for the county in terms of law enforcement is the heroin problem.
Well, that's one of the biggest issues that's been plaguing our community.
Not that I know from personal experience.
It has the heroin epidemic, and I will say it is an epidemic because it has just plagued our community. It's taken dozens and dozens of lives just from Albany County. I don't even know what the number would be in the Tri-County area, but it's a staggering number. There's overdoses all the time. And that's why we had to take the steps and go out and get the Narcan. So officers carry Narcan, which if there's an opiate overdose, they can spray it like a nasal spray. And if it is an opiate-based overdose, they got a good chance of bringing them back if they're there soon.
And heroin is an opiate?
Heroin is an opiate. It's a cheap opiate. It's a strong opiate. And it's taking dozens of lives in our community. It's probably taking thousands of lives nationwide.
Well, it's terrible.
It's horrible.
Mm-hmm. And what about immigration? You have a lot of immigrants in the jail? Or?
Obviously immigration reform is a very contentious issue right now. And, it's like I explained, we recently did a forum and I said, listen, it's not a matter if I'm for it or against it. What it is a matter of is that I have a lot of immigrants in our Albany County jail. And,
because you're picking them up because of the federal crime of
it's a twofold, sir. It's one, it could be a crime they've committed in our community, and then they get sent to us, and then come to find out while they're being processed or whatever, you'll find out that they're here illegally. So we'll notify immigrations, and they may come pick them up, take them, get them arraigned, bring them back, and then we hold them as a federal prisoner as opposed to a state prisoner. Or sometimes they may call us and say, do you have 30 beds? We're bringing 30 immigrants up from whatever state they got located, and then they'll bring them to us.
Why would they bring them to Albany?
I'm not really sure. I know Buffalo is an area that has an immigration court, but you know what? I guess if there is a silver lining for it, we charge the feds, so we get a very high rate for housing a federal prisoner.
Okay. Are you making more money this year than last year, or are you keeping track?
A lot more, yes.
Okay.
We had a budgeted amount of roughly $4.6 million, which we should hit in August this month, middle of the month.
So what about this video conferencing that you have?
That's going great. We kicked that off, I think, the last time we chatted.
So tell me about that.
The video visitation is something that, because we do bring in a lot of people from outside of our community, sometimes it's not easy to get relatives or significant others to come and visit with them. So we're like, listen, maybe we could look at video visitation. So we started, we reached out for a company. We were able to talk them into coming in and putting all the infrastructure in at no cost to the taxpayer. And then what we do is we do a profit sharing as the inmates sign up. Some of that money goes to the county, some of that money goes towards the company of paying down the cost of the installation.
So you're bringing in more money into the coffers.
We're bringing more monies in that. Look, we run a jail, so we're never going to make money, but if we can bring in revenue to cut the expenses off the taxpayers' back,
right.
That's what our goal is.
So are you finding fewer visitors to the jail?
Well, we did actually realign our visitation procedures. We don't allow visits on the weekends anymore, which also saved us $300,000 in manpower, which we do weekday visits and then one night in case there's a hardship. But what the video visitation does is, A, it allows people outside the community to visit. It keeps them from coming to our jail. And whenever you can keep people from coming in the jail, you're limiting that exposure to bringing contraband in, to having some sort of domestic occurrence inside the jail, having an assault on one of our staffers. So it really produces a safer atmosphere for everyone.
Wow. So that's great.
Yeah.
So what's the cost and what's the charge?
It's, I believe it's like $10 for 20 minutes, something to that effect.
And it's worth it for a lot of these
It's
folks
worth it
who-
if you're out of the area. You know what, really, if you can, in addition to the revenue and creating a safer atmosphere, on an inmate side, if you can keep them in touch with society and their family and everything else, kind of gives them a little bit of hope. And really, my goal is, I don't want you back. I like having the vacancy light on. Come to our jail, learn your lesson, correct your behavior. If it's where they get it. Get out. Don't come back.
So there's a video, so you can actually see the
Yes,
person
sir.
who's calling?
We have these kiosks located throughout the facility on the wings. You go
Right.
in front of it. Your significant other or
Right.
whomever,
Your visitor- your
your visitor
visitor, right.
is home on a laptop, and you know,
Oh.
for lack of a better term, she Skypes in,
Right, right.
and you have your
Connection,
visit,
yeah.
your
Oh, I
connection,
see.
and then at the
Okay.
end,
That's
screen
it.
goes blank, and that's it.
You have to sign up, like
You can sign
put
up on a
$10,
website.
You put in $10 at 20 minutes, it
Yes.
cuts off
Yeah.
automatically. You can't re-up or
Right.
whatever. Okay.
Right. And then you reschedule.
I see.
But it's good. It allows the rotation of the inmates. You
Do
know.
they have to be during the same slotted times that certain, by last name of
No.
certain, no, it could be?
No, you pick your slots throughout the day, and you can get on it. And if
Okay.
you want to do 4 visits a day, you can do it.
So you're finding things running better and more
Things are
smoothly?
running better. It's not picking up as fast as I wanted to. You know, I'd probably have a issue with my patience, but it is progressing. It's getting better every month. You know, we're seeing a little bit more of a spike. So
Well, that's
Well,
great.
people don't stay in the Albany County that long.
that's correct as well. They don't.
You know,
Under a
there's
year.
high turnover.
Yeah.
It's under a year, otherwise
It's
they're
under a
going to
year,
stay.
yes.
Right.
We have very few, I should say, long-term, and long-term to me would be over the year, and that's very, there's an exigent circumstance, or it is in fact some federal prisoners.
Do you have prisoners coming in, or people being at recidivism rate, where you have like the usual suspects, oh, he's back again?
Yeah, all the time. You know, I'm very proud of the fact that we've created a lot of programs to lower that recidivism rate, and a lot of people never understood, you know, like, why is that recidivism rate so high? Well, you got to do something to break that cycle. There was a point 2 years ago, and I'll never forget this, where we had a grandfather, a father, and a son in the jail. Now, where do you think the next generation's heading?
Right.
So, you know, that's the cycle that you got to try to break, and that's why we've created a ton of programs inside the facility, and I'm very proud of it because we're just a county jail.
Right.
You know, we're not a state facility. Things don't run the same every day. We don't have the same people every day for long term. But we've got, you know, we have our jail dog program, which we're really proud of. We have stray dogs from the Mohawk Hudson Humane Society come in. The inmates train them, and we call it STAR, Sheriff STAR, kind of corny, but it's Steps to Adoption Readiness. And the inmates train the dogs, and then the dogs go back with some basic obedience, and they get adopted. And we've done 24, 25 of them, and over a dozen of them were adopted by our staff. They just fell in love with the dogs.
Is that fairly unique? Because I visit state facilities more than, I mean, once in a while I do come into the Albany County Jail. But usually they say, oh, the inmates would say state is better because at least there's a gym, there's more facilities and more training programs, ASAB, which is alcohol substance abuse treatment. And they say, well, at least here we can get some education. In a county, maybe they're talking about Rikers Island, New York City. You just sit there doing nothing.
And that's true, and that's always been my pet peeve, sir, with a county facility. I've been in this department a long time, and one of my biggest pet peeves was sitting in that cell for 23, 24 hours a day, not having to worry about anything, not having to do anything. But it doesn't, you know, it doesn't help anybody. And what we want them to do is, listen, find a reason not to come back. We have an inmate workforce, I call it. It's no different than, you know, people going out on the streets and picking up garbage and everything else and then coming back in. They've done some tremendous programs throughout our community. They've, you know, after storms, they go out and they pick up. They just cleaned a cemetery up in Waterford. I don't know if anybody had seen that in a local newspaper where a certain community there was being accused of neglecting the cemetery for, you know, dozens and dozens of years. So I read it and I'm like, wow, that, you know, it'd be a good project. Well, sure as anything, the mayor of that community reached out for me and said, hey, could you do this? We did it, and we cleaned that cemetery all up.
So you had the deputies go
I had the inmates go up.
The inmates go
Inmates
up.
went up under the supervision of correction officers. They hacked down trees, pulled up all the roots and all the weeds. I mean, trees 4 6 inches growing through, you know, grave sites. I mean, no grave should be desecrated that way. and
I have
really proud
another
of the fact.
cemetery for you to work on if you want to do another one.
I'll tell you, anything we can do to keep the inmates working,
The
and it
Beth Emmett
also
one that Zalmi told me about. You know, maybe we can.
No, I really.
it gives them a sense of productivity. It gives them a sense of, you know what, maybe I can do something with my life rather than go back and forth to jail.
It's a very much a Jewish thing. I always like putting the Jewish view on, but that's actually the jail. It was more what you were talking about is forced work, because, like you say, what is wrong with these people? They can't get a job, or they're in the wrong company, or like you're saying, the wrong family, and just get out there and learn how to be, and say in Jewish, a mensch, a person. Get up in the morning, you know, again, forget about the drugs and all the garbage that you're dealing with. Get a job, and you know, and a person wants to feel productive, and
They
that's
want
really
to.
the idea.
They really do. A lot of these, a lot of my inmates I find don't know any better because it's just going through the family. They're just going through the motions.
Dropped
So you
out
know
of
what?
school.
We take them out and we show them that you can do something productive in your life. We've had them, the holiday lights that you see down in the park, they revamped all those lights a couple years ago, saved them a ton of money. They've painted hydrants in the cities of Waterville, Cohoes, Green Island, Albany. They're going to embark on a project in Colony. I mean, the inmates.
And this is part of their community service? Does it go towards that?
It goes, no, they get nothing from it. They get nothing at all from it, with the exception of sometimes the people that where they're working in the nonprofit or whatever, will buy them some good food to eat for the day, which is good. And you know what? They come back and they work that much harder for you. And it's a great program. We've never had to force anybody on it. They asked to go on it, and we've only had to throw one off it. So this year I've got them building gardens in the back of the jail.
So how many inmates do you have now?
As of this, it fluctuates 20 to 50, but around 850.
Yeah, about 850?
Yes.
And how many go out on this?
I have 50 working at any given day. Going out, I never send more than 8 out, 8 at a rip.
And what about how many more beds can you know, how many more inmates can you take in?
I max at 1,049.
Okay, so you have room for another 250.
I'll take them.
150 to 200.
Free room and board over here,
Okay.
Mark. Already.
No, but I wanted to ask you about your canine unit. Can you talk about your canine unit a little bit?
Our department had done away with the canines probably 10 years ago or so, and you know, and I wanted to. They can be useful, and they're a great PR tool. They really are. The kids love them at events and things of that nature, and that's really something that we've been pushing for with the sheriff's office, is let the community know what we do, and we want them to know that, hey, we're just not the bad guy at the jail. You know, we've got an investment here in the community, and we want to partner with you. So we wanted to get back into it, and I said, well, what a better way to get back into it to name the dogs after some of our past sheriffs and or just employees that may have passed away. So our first dog was George, George Infante. And he does eat a lot. He does have quite an appetite, as George loved to eat.
Yes.
And our second one is Mo, after Maureen Honigal McGuire, who was a great senior investigator and passed away with cancer. So we have 2 right now.
You have a gym coming up?
Well, I've got a couple of them coming up, actually. I really would like to get 2 or 3 more dogs on because, A, I want to use them to continue to combat this heroin problem we have and other drugs. And you know, we always want to keep a bomb dog in the area, especially being in the Capital District with the state offices and the county offices and the airport. We have a lot of critical infrastructure that we want to make sure.
How much does it cost to keep a dog on staff?
Honestly, my gosh, it's less than $100 a month.
But they go home with the
They go home with the officer, yes.
Right. They're always with the deputy.
They're always with the deputy, yeah.
And I know that over in Rensselaer County, Sheriff Mahar has a dog, Harley, that's assigned to him.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he still have Harley? Yeah.
Yeah, he still has Harley.
I knew he had a dog. I didn't know if he's still.
When you're talking about bombs, though, I mean, God forbid, but what if a scenario, something happens in the state? You're Albany County, you would be called in?
Well,
you think it's a federal offense or a state trooper?
They normally will call whoever's close.
Right.
Get us the closest dog you can get, and then they'll continue. Because sometimes look, if you had to search a building like the South Mall, for example, you would need a dozen, maybe more dogs to do that. So just keep calling them. You have to search a building like the Albany Public Library, you still would need 3 or 4 dogs to do this building. They tire out quick.
Well, the state of the state message.
Yes.
That bomb sniffing dogs go through.
Yep.
That's in the convention center, the Empire State Plaza.
And you really don't want a tired dog sniffing for an explosive.
Right.
You know, you probably want somebody that's really fresh and ready to go. So.
You know, so they close off about an hour before the event, and the dogs will sniff around and Hopefully never find
They'll
anything.
take whatever dog power
Yeah.
they can, you're
Yeah.
saying, or whatever.
I mean, our primary was the, you know, being the sheriff, we were concerned also about the county buildings, and we have the airport, and it's,
Right.
you know, what a better deterrent than to keep that dog around the airport.
So, and you're personally a dog lover, I take it.
I have 2 dogs.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so this is close to your heart.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
love them. I love them. They're great, you know, and they never argue back with you.
They just bite.
You know, they just bite you a
The hand
little
that
bit.
feeds
But,
you.
yeah.
What about this Yellow Dot program?
That's a great program that the Sheriff's Association had kind of reinvigorated. I think it was about 2 years ago we started it up again. And what it is basically is you contact your local sheriff, no matter what county you're in New York, and they will send you a packet with, in fact, a yellow sticker, a yellow dot. And you can put that yellow dot on your car or at your house. And what it does is it allows emergency responders that are coming to your house to know that, listen, we have medical information here, and all that information is on file, and if you're a diabetic or whatever the case may be.
It would be on file where?
At the house.
At
It
the
tells
house.
us the location for it, yes.
On the Yellow Dot?
Yes.
It tells you the location,
Yeah.
because they don't always put it in the refrigerator like
That's
they
where
used
we
to.
like, honestly, that's where we like to see it. I like to see it in the refrigerator.
Why?
Because it's universal and it will, everybody can go to the same place. I don't want everybody to say your bedroom, then you get into a house, you don't know which bedroom's whose bedroom.
And you find all sorts
yeah.
of things in the bedroom that
Yeah.
you may in the
I'd rather
So
go
you
with the
want it in the
refrigerator.
refrigerator, maybe on the door? The shelf
Well, it
on
could
the
on a
door?
shelf, yeah, it could be, but it's in like a little package, and you can see where it is. But it lets us know that that information's out there.
Okay, wow, that's
Yeah.
good. So how do people get?
They can go on. Whoever's viewing this can go right on our website and request it, and we'll send it right out to you.
Okay, well, I'll do that right after the program.
Yes.
What about this RAD? What's RAD about?
RAD's a great program. We brought this to the
What does it stand for?
Rape Aggression Defense, and what we did was I had been approached by a young lady who had been assaulted, and she said, you know, you really should look at getting this program in here, and she kind of explained her story to me, and I said, wow, that's a great idea. And then I happened to know another lady who was really into preparedness and self-defense and everything else, and we spoke with her, and she kind of got this program up and running. And it's a great program, and they go out and basically
Who's they?
Our deputy sheriffs, correction officers, and in fact we partner with District Attorney David Soares. A few of his staffers go out, and what it is basically are the guys would go out and they put on these padded suits, and the women kind of beat the heck out of them. They show them how to defend themselves and where to kick and how to yell back at them and everything else. And a lot of times if that could stop an assault right there, some sort of attack if you've got a predator in a parking lot. That woman knowing what to say back, and it's really a confidence builder. It's not just about, you know, using physical force and everything else. It's a confidence builder as opposed to have her cower down in a parking lot, you know, to be able to come back at that person. Normally your attacker's going to take off. They're not going to want a confrontation. They're trying to pick on a vulnerable person.
Like a bully kind of
Yes.
weakling.
And when you go back at them, they take off. And it's been a great program. We've done thousands and thousands of women in the Capital District.
Excuse me, say that again?
We've trained thousands
Oh,
of
okay.
them, defended them.
Okay. Also, you have your own website,
Yeah.
craigapple.com.
Yes.
Why do you have your own?
We like to keep everybody up to speed as to what's going on, and basically we push out all our press releases, we push out our Twitter feeds, we push out everything.
Why can't you do that through government?
Well, we don't. I also want it separate from. I don't want people in the political world to look like we're using the county website or anything to that effect. So I try to keep it separate.
And on your homepage on Craig Apple, you have a golf tournament or something? that
Yes,
you-
I have a golf tournament at the end of every year. I have a golf tournament. It's one of the last tournaments in the Capital District. It's
And
kinda neat.
is it a fundraiser for you?
It's a fundraiser for me. Yes, it's a political fundraiser.
So that's why you have a separate website.
Yes, yeah,
Because
for
then
political. Yeah, I
then
don't
you
like to
could-
try to. I don't want anybody to think that we're using any county resources back and forth. So we try to keep it completely separate.
Okay. Well, 487-5400 is your...
That's our main line into the sheriff's office.
Okay. And what else?
Well, just to even
Yeah.
the staff, how much staff do you
Oh.
have? I mean, that just, I think
We
we asked it
hover-
before, but it's good to,
Yeah, we hover around
Review.
700 and change,
That's a
and
lot.
yeah, it's a big department. It's a very diverse department because we do the emergency management for the county. We answer the 911. We have the jail. We have an advanced life
why
support.
do you answer 911 like I am in Bethlehem, but Bethlehem answers their own 911?
It all comes through the county for whether it be a millisecond or a half a second. It all comes through the county, and we
Really?
administer the 911 program. Yes.
Now,
didn't
it
know
says
that.
here on the website, the current staff of 420 for both sworn officers and civilians maintains the day-to-day operations of the facility.
Yes.
So that's 420, but then you have another 300? You said you have, what's the total?
420 just runs the jail.
Jail.
Yeah.
And then you have 300?
We have about another 83 to 90 paramedics and EMTs that run ambulances. We have another 20, 25 dispatchers. I mean, there could be a vacancy here or there. We have 120 law enforcement officers. We have fire coordinators. And of course, you have the administration and support staff.
And you don't have a public relations director?
No.
No, you do it all yourself.
We do it on Facebook and Twitter.
That's it.
Yeah, we don't.
So-
You know what? I thought about it at one point, but you know, I just go out and that's kind of my job is to promote the department, and that's what we do.
And you're doing a good job with it,
So-
too. And you're the oldest sheriff's agency in the United States?
One of them, yes, 1683.
Established in the 1660s, it says.
Yeah,
but
we
1680
were actually 1683 was the sheriff's office.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a dog for each of the sheriffs
Well,
in
you know,
1683?
we probably have more dogs than we got people in the county, but no, we'll have a few of them though.
So what do you, you're up for re-election?
Next year.
Next year?
Next year.
Any announcement? You're going to run for re-election?
Oh, I'd love to do another term. Yeah, it's no secret. I've got 27 years in. I know we got business yet to do, and I'd like to do one more term, I think, and wrap up a few projects that we want to get kicking
That's
off.
it?
Well, we'll see what happens then. I mean, it's a long ways away.
You only get
know?
a 4-year contract from the voters.
Yeah, that's a long ways away. But I'd like, we got a few projects that I thought we'd be able to get up and running now, but we've knocked off like 20 projects in the last couple of years.
You're how old now?
47.
Come on. You got 20 more years, good 20 more years you can give this.
We'll see what
county.
happens. Let's take it one term at a
I
time.
mean, I don't know, contrasting, it just seems to me that Albany County's on the forefront. I mean, I guess in all your humble statement, but I'm just saying that compared to other counties and compared to all these different programs that they're doing.
I think, you know, we try to be as progressive as we can, and, you know, I hate to use the cliche, we try to think outside the box, you know, do what we can do to keep costs down and lower that recidivism rate. And you know what, we're here, we're one of the very few constitutional offices in the state of New York is the sheriff's position. And you know, we try to keep politics out of it. We try to just do the right thing every day for the people. And whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, you know, whatever your enrollment may be, you know, we still just try to do the best for the public. And there's a lot of things out there that we can be doing to make it a better place. As corny as it sounds, to try to really make our community a better place. And that's what we do every day.
You know, I just from your beginning remarks, but same remarks, is just that, you know, a policeman, you flash and a gun and a, you know, like
Yeah.
a Wild Bill, you know, you know, like that, you're a police officer, you're going to shoot the criminal. But really, it's, again, you're more of a public servant. I mean, of course, when it comes for a crime, but it seems, you know, that, you know, people have to get that image. I mean,
Well,
I
we
don't
try
wanna call
to
you social workers, but
yeah,
on the
but well,
other
in
hand,
essence,
you
we are. When you're a
yeah.
police officer, that's really what you're a babysitter. You're a social worker. You're a law enforcement. You do a little bit of everything, and you do what you need to do to control the situation or to engage a community, whatever. I mean, this weekend I was in a dunking booth. I mean, you know, we try to do whatever, and the people had fun. You know, they came out, put a ton of money down, and they threw balls at me all afternoon, and a lot of them got me wet too. But it's. You know, it's a great job, and we want the people to know that here, look, we're working for you. We're here for you, and we're very open, and we try to keep costs down. We're always looking for grants to bring equipment in and try to lower the expenses. We use a lot of drug asset money. We seize money from criminals, and then we use that to purchase police cars or to basically, you know, augment equipment that we need and that we have and that we could use, but really can't afford. So we'll use drug money for that. And you know, I think we operate a very efficient and proficient department, and I love it. I think it's a great job.
And that's not a damning comment on your predecessors either.
No, it's not. It's just that you're also talking, you know, generational gap there as well, you know, and
your successor might say, whoever that might be 20 years down the road,
absolutely.
might say
I
they're
think we
running
should do this. Yeah,
a
absolutely.
more efficient and more.
The thing is that you really need to advance with the community you serve. You really do. You need to move with them, and sometimes fiscally you can't do that. But you know, as technology evolves, and you know, I was chuckling today. I was at a forum with our local Congressman Tonko, and the bishop was there. And I'm watching him on his iPhone, you know, and I just kind of got a kick out of that, you know. I'm like, you just wouldn't think of that, you know, but he's right there.
Well, he's got the Pope right in front of him. That's what he's doing. He's talking to the Pope.
But I mean, it's just, you know, it's the technology that's out there, and you know, everything is right there at your fingers. And
no one's going to say that was rude for the Pope, for the cardinal or the bishop.
I did get a chuckle out of it, though. I looked over and I'm like, he's texting on his iPhone.
What other crime issues are there out there that we need to know about?
Well, the biggest issue.
The heroin.
All right, take the heroin aside, but let's just start with the heroin again, because in a jail, like as of 2 days ago, I ran the numbers, and we had 149 drug arrestees in our jail.
Drug-related arrests.
129. Now, whether it's marijuana or cocaine or heroin, whatever, but the drugs. But now, so that's going to leave roughly 700 additional inmates out there. So what are they there for? Now, the 700, you can break out some of the borders, whatever, and you know, we're not sure what their crimes are, but a lot of the rest of those crimes will always trail back to drugs. And that's the problem, is that...
I mean, they broke into a house, so they're there for a theft.
To feed their habit,
Yeah.
to feed their habit. And that's what, a lot of things come back to drugs. And when they say that, you know, well, you know, you can't... I've said 1,000 times myself, we can't arrest our way out of the drug problem, but the issue that you have is that people need treatment, they need education. And I really think that the state's been lax in that. And I've talked to our local assembly members, and they've been very responsive, but you know, there's only a couple of them, and you really need others to engage. And I think, you know, you're familiar with the DARE program. Yeah. The DARE program's a great program, but it's for 5th grade. What happens to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? When that's when they're, you know, they're dabbling with them and using them and experimenting with them. I really think the state education department should mandate that people get involved in the schools, and for a half an hour a day, or a half an hour a week or a month, whatever, talk about the devastating effects that drugs have on a family, on a person. And you know, share some drastic stories with them. I mean, you really got to scare the daylights out of these kids nowadays, because there's no fear there. So everything does usually have some sort of nexus to drugs. But the other crime issues are, you know, your usual, your burglaries and things of that nature. But there also are a lot of cyber crimes out there, white collar crimes out there that affect a lot of people. I mean, we had an Albany Med case earlier this year that a lot of families had their Social Security numbers taken.
Right, the guy was from Kingston or something?
Well, no, he was right here in Albany.
Oh, he was in Albany? Because there was something else from the guy in...
His wife was a nurse, and they had taken a lot of personal information, and we ended up arresting them. They got a substantial amount of time. Each one, I think the lowest amount was 8.5 years. The other one's doing 12 years. Yeah. But, you know, and Albany Med was a great partner in that investigation, but it's things like that that can mess up a person's life very quickly and easily. If you don't, and by the time you know it, it's done. Your credit history's been destroyed. So we're always trying to stay on top of that. And of course, there's a lot of, when you get into the iPhones and the texting world and everything else, there's a lot of stalking and harassment issues. But honestly, a lot of it always comes back to drugs.
So what's your message to the audience? What's your message besides stay clean and stay out of trouble?
You know what, I mean...
be vigilant?
You really... I always tell everybody to be cognizant of your surroundings. Pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention, like, just the simple, stupid things that people forget all the time, like, you know, your lights, and, you know, if you go on vacation, you don't put it on your Facebook that, oh my gosh, I'm in Wildwood for the week, this is awesome. And meanwhile, they got a Ryder truck at your house and they're clearing it out. I mean, just pay attention to what you're doing. It's great to post things on Facebook. I post things on Facebook. I'm going to post this on there in about an hour. But you know what? Do it when you get home. Do it when you get back home. And just be cognizant of your surroundings, and pay attention to what's going on, and pay attention to what your kids are doing, and pay attention to what your kids are doing on those darn cell phones.
And if you see a moving van, don't think that it's legitimate, that
Yeah,
question the moving van and make sure that
question-
you know that your neighbor is moving and
Yep.
it's just not someone coming to
all
rob
the
their
time.
house.
If I see something in my neighborhood, I'm all over them, and you have to be, and you just ask questions. And you know what? Don't be afraid to call the police. I'm not saying rush to 911 every time, but you know what? We are here for you. Call us. Don't act like you're being a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, "I was going to call you, but I didn't want to be a pain."
But then you have all
But then
these-
you find out the house got robbed.
But then you, on the Tonight Show or whatever, you hear of these 911 calls that say, that are the silly
Yeah,
calls. And,
I know.
And
Those-
you kind
you
of
do
say,
have
I don't want to
some-
be one of those.
You do have some people out there that don't really think too clearly before they, ask, some stupid question doing it. But,
But
we're
you
there.
have a-
We're there
yeah.
for the people, and I want people to use us. I want people to call us, ask
Sure.
us questions, and that's why we try to hit as many community events as we can to get our message out.
Okay, that's great.
All right,
Thank you.
you, Sheriff Appledad. You've been on the show many times, and you're always informative and doing good work and good programs. And we wish you the best of health and keep on going with helping the people of Albany
Yeah,
County.
best of success.
You got it.
Okay.